Your hip is your second most mobile joint in your body. It can move forward and back, side to side, and it can rotate out and in. Tightness or limited mobility in any one of these directions can eventually result in pain, not just in your hip, but up into your lower back and down into your knees as well. That's why in this video, I wanted to show you 6 of the best stretches that you can do for your hip in each one of these different directions to alleviate tightness and to relieve any pain that you might be experiencing. However, in true Dr. Jared fashion, I probably am going to throw in some bonus stretches for you as well, just so that I can over-deliver and you can get the best outcomes possible. That being said, let's get started. We'll start with the 2 most common complaints that I treat: tightness in the back or the hip extensors and tightness in the front or the hip flexors. For our first stretch, you're going to lie down on your back, and then very simply, to stretch the glute out, you're going to bend your affected leg. In this case, I'll demonstrate on my left. I'm going to bend my left knee up towards my chest. Hand placement on this, I can either come right here on top of the knee. That's the one that I personally prefer. I feel like that's a deeper stretch. If you have knee pain or if that's uncomfortable, you can go right behind your knee as well. But really our goal here is to just pull that knee up as close and into our chest as we can until we get a good stretch right here through the glute, right through the back of the hip. I would hold that in a comfortable position for about 20 seconds, back off of it, and then I would repeat that 3 times. Now, I understand it's not always convenient to lie down. There's also a standing version of this that I like, where you're going to stand with the affected leg up on a stool in front of you. Keep your leg nice and straight, keep your back nice and straight, and then hinge forward at your hip until you get a good stretch along the back of the leg. You're going to feel that in your hamstring and then up into your glute. Hold it in a comfortable position for 20 seconds and repeat 3 times. Now, to stretch your hip flexors out, this is a common one that gets tight, especially if you sit a lot. It can pull on your lower back and contribute to lower back pain. Here's how I like to stretch it out. The hip flexor stretch. You're going to kneel on your affected hip. So in this case, if my right were the one that were tight, I'm kneeling on my right hip. Now, in this position, this tall kneeling position with my left leg out in front, I'm going to push my hips forward until I get a good stretch right here through the front of my hip. However, what I want you to try is to actually contract this glute on the right side. So squeeze your butt on the right side, hold that contraction as you lunge forward. And what that does is that keeps your hips in a more upright position and results in a better stretch through the front of that hip flexor. Hold for 20 seconds and repeat 3 times. And of course, it's not always easy to get down on a knee. I have patients, I have viewers who say, like, well, what do you do if you can't kneel down, if it's painful to your knee? An alternate version of this, I personally don't find it as effective, but it's better than nothing, would be a stretch right on the edge of your bed. In this case, if my left hip flexor were tight, I'm going to sit right on the very edge of my bed, and then I'm going to grab my opposite knee. So I'm going to actually grab my right knee and hold it up as high as I can, and then as I lie down on my back, you'll see that I'm in this position where the weight of my left leg is pulling it into extension, and I feel a stretch right here on the left front of my hip. And you would hold that for 20 seconds and then repeat that one 3 times. Next, let's stretch the outside of the hip, or the abductors, and the inside part of the hip, or the adductors. If you have tightness in that lateral hip, that can be a common cause of hip bursitis and gluteal tendonitis. Certainly something that we want to be aware of. If you have pain on the outside of your hip, you might try these stretches right here. What I want you to do is grab something to stretch with. We're going to need a belt or a towel or a sheet or a dog leash, something that just is firm and doesn't stretch. What I want you to do is loop that right around your affected leg and then lie down on your back. Allow your leg to come up into this position right here. Now, if you want a good hamstring stretch, you can just pull that foot straight up towards your same shoulder. That's one of my favorite ways to stretch the hamstrings. But to sneak it into the lateral hip out here, what I want you to do is hold those tails in your opposite hand and then pull over towards the opposite wall. And oh man, that just introduces such a good stretch. Right up here, you're gonna feel that high in the hamstring, but you should feel that over in that lateral part of your hip as well. Hold that in just a comfortable stretch position for 20 seconds and then repeat that 3 times. Once again, I realize it's not always convenient to lie down, and so if you want to do a standing version of that, what you're going to do is cross your unaffected leg over your affected leg. So in this demonstration, I'm crossing my right over my left. Now what I want you to do is push your left hip out towards the side as far as you can go while leaning your torso over towards the opposite side, just until we get a good stretch through that lateral hip. And you guessed it, 20 seconds 3 times. That's a great way to stretch that out in standing. Now the hip adductors, or the groin muscles, if they're tight, they can pull the knees in towards each other, can result in some patellofemoral pain, definitely something that we want to be aware of. The way that I like to stretch that, I'll usually introduce it as kind of a 2-step process. The easier way to do it would be to extend the unaffected leg out in front of you and then bend the affected leg up into this position. So right now the sole of my left foot is along the inner part of my right thigh. Now in this position, what I can do is keep my torso nice and upright and just reach down towards my right toes until I get a good stretch in my left hip. It's actually going to be kind of that left groin that I'm stretching out as I reach in this direction. Most people are pretty tolerant to that. If that's comfortable, if you can do that 3 times 20 seconds, I like to go to the next level, which would be the butterfly stretch. Sometimes I call it the 6th grade gym class stretch, just because I feel like this is the only one that you ever do in 6th grade gym class. But what I'm going to do is bring the soles of both of my feet together and then push my knees down towards the ground. You get a first-hand view of Jared's lack of mobility in this direction in his hips. This is one that I definitely need to work on. But the reason that I like this is that we get to stretch both sides at the same time. I can use my elbows to kind of push down on my knees to enhance that stretch in those adductor muscles in that groin area. And then I'm going to hold that for 20 seconds, and then I'm going to repeat that one 3 times. Our last 2 stretches are going to be for rotation in your hips, and limitation in these motions can actually contribute to lower back pain, and so if that's your case, I hope that these last stretches help you out. But before we jump into those, I wanted to ask, have you had a chance to check out the Tone and Tighten members area yet? Here on Tone and Tighten, we do a lot of stretches and exercises to help you to get out of pain, but on the back end of the members area, the content and the discussion there is about how to live a healthier lifestyle and stay out of pain. If you're interested in checking that out, just hit join down below. But for now, let's get those hips moving, let's rotate those hips. And so the first one that I like to start with is going to be an external rotation stretch for your piriformis muscle. To do that, you're going to lie down on your back with your knees bent. If I wanted to stretch my left hip out, I'm going to cross my left leg over my right knee. Now in this position, with both my hands, I'm going to grab down behind the back of my right knee and then pull that right knee up in towards my chest just until I get a really good, comfortable stretch through that deep left hip. And you can probably guess by now, we're gonna hold that for about 20 seconds, and then we're going to repeat that one 3 times. To stretch into internal rotation, what I want you to try is stay in this position, but now take those feet way out wide. From here, what I want you to do is let's first drop this left knee down towards the right foot until we just get a good stretch. I feel that through the lateral side of my hip and into the back just a little bit. I would hold that for about 20 seconds, and then we can repeat over here to the other side as well. And so now I'm going to let my right knee drop in towards my left foot till that comfortable stretch is felt. Hold for 20, and then come back to neutral. And then we can repeat that 3 times both directions. Now, me personally, I like to combine those into a little bit more of a mobility flow stretch. And so what I want you to do is you're going to sit with both of your feet out wide, and then we can roll to one side. So I'm rolling to my left. You'll see that I've got an external rotation stretch here on the left side, and this is in that internal rotation here on my right side. And I like to hold that for about 5 to 10 seconds, roll back to the neutral position, and then roll into the other direction. So now we're stretching into external rotation here on the right, and then we're dropping into internal rotation here on the left. 5 to 10 second holds, and then I'll repeat that 10 times each direction. I hope these help your hip to feel amazing. Thank you so much for joining me.